Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It depends on where you are on the globe. Here is Olga with a new video, and I hope you're enjoying your day, and I hope that this video will bring you a lot of useful and interesting information. Thank you very much for your comments to my videos. You know, it's something new for me to record myself, and I'm making a very big, huge effort. For those who were asking where does the smoke come from, here you go. Now you know, not everything but a lot. For those who commented on my voice that it's pleasant, thank you very much. Officially I'm a soprano, so it's not surprising that people like it. Now, yes, thank you for your comments about my haircut and the earrings. I'm making effort. What else? The seriousness of my videos, especially astrological forecast for the week. Yes, my videos are serious, and of course I prepare the material. Otherwise, to talk spontaneously, to speak plainly, spontaneously, it would take 1 hour and a half to say what I say in 15 minutes. And with Mercury in Capricorn, which is my case, the talk cannot be less serious than it is in my case. So the most important for me is the constructive information that is useful, and we need to save time because everything goes fast our days. So the most important for me is to transmit you the message. Now, this was a small introduction to my it has nothing to do with my new video. I just wanted to show you that I'm here. Our exchanges are, my videos are interactive, and I answer questions in the email. I prefer to answer your personal questions in the personal emails. Yes, I greet you from sunny Costa Rica. The weather is just perfect, and the energy today is I feel this energy that will give me the inspiration to talk to you about a very interesting subject. Is one of my favorite subjects, the lunar nodes, which is the part of the block of astrology, astrological block, karmic astrology. I will, in the first part of the video, I will talk about theory, if we can call that theory. I will explain you what are the lunar nodes and what are the difference of the fictitious points, of the significance, the meaning of the fictitious points. The lunar nodes are the fictitious points, and the real planets, which are the celestial bodies. And in the second part, I will interpret the position of the lunar nodes in signs, in the sign of the zodiac. Actually, I will interpret the axis, because there are 12 signs of the zodiac, and there are 6 axes of the lunar nodes. And yeah, I really hope that you will enjoy this, and once again, open to any comments and questions. So, in any astrological analysis, we consider, if we talk about astropsychology and also the predictions, we consider first of all the 10 planets, real planets, celestial bodies, planets of the solar system. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, which in a birth chart describe the different facets of someone's personality. Each planet has its function to be simpler in the description of someone's character, the strong and weak sides, and the possibilities to realize the potential of in this actual incarnation. If a planet is afflicted, and I remind you what is an affliction. An affliction is a negative, a tense aspect, such as square and opposition, with any other planet, but especially with the malefic planet like Mars, Saturn, Uranus, and Pluto. But also it can be conjunction with these planets, except of Jupiter and Neptune. In this case, it means that the mode, the context, the environment in which the person will have to work on her psychological traits will be difficult and tense and full of conflicts and confrontations. It doesn't, these parameters do not impose a negative program, because the person can change her life program, the quality of her life, by, of course, working on herself and especially not blaming others for her difficult life problems and failures. So any birth chart is like a compass. Yes, we say in boussole in French. Compass. It shows us where we have to work on and when, because when we trace the transits, for example, in order to become, which is the goal, a harmonious personality which manifests the characteristics of all the 12 signs of the zodiac in all the spheres of life. And this is the school of life that we all have to go through within one single incarnation. We have many incarnations with all that. We come back thousands of times, and until we become perfect. So if somebody tells you that, oh yes, by the way, I heard that in with one client, she had any single trine, any single sextile, only squares and oppositions. And she said that she went to see an astrologer who told her that it was her last incarnation. I haven't heard such a stupidity. I'm really sorry, but how can astrologer, tell such a thing to somebody who doesn't have any trine or sextile in her chart? So until we become perfect, we will not have to come back to the earth anymore to get incarnated. So all the parameters of the birth chart involving real planets of the solar system and aspects between them, and we of course consider the planets as the rulers of the houses. All this helps us to understand, to go to learn, to study in the school of life. But everything is possible. We can overcome our own birth chart by working on ourselves, by overcoming our own reactions, especially if they're negative, in the case of afflicted planets. Now, there is another sector, another block of astrology, which is a karmic astrology, and here we don't consider the real planets. Of course, we consider the fictitious points. I just forgot to mention that in the astropsychology we also consider asteroids like Chiron, and there are many others that some astrologers like to consider, but I think that the most important is to focus on the 10 planets of the solar system and the aspects between them and on their position in the signs and the houses. So yes, we can pick up. There are many other celestial bodies that can be analyzed, but this is, for me, at least on this level of analysis, it's secondary. So if I get back to the fictitious points, the 4 major fictitious points that we consider in karmic astrology are the lunar nodes. Actually, it's an axis. There are 2. They're always in the opposite signs. The black moon, Lilith, and the white moon, Selena, which will be the subjects of my future videos. Of course, don't worry. I receive emails from you asking questions. And these subjects, Lilith and Selena, are studied and explored, and a lot of information, a lot of literature, articles written on the subject. in Western, of course, not in Vedic, because I didn't study Vedic astrology. In Western astrology and in post-Soviet republics in Russia, Ukraine, so we worked on it, and we are using the analysis of Lilith and Selena in the analysis of the chart of a client. So this is something very common for Russian tradition, to talk on Lilith and Selena. But once again, I will get back to the subject, of course, very soon, I promise. Now, so the lunar nodes, Lilith and Selena, it's very interesting to see them in interaction, in the conjunctions with the real planets. But before to mention that, in the conjunction of the fictitious points with the real planet in someone's chart, and also, of course, in the compatibility, in the synastries with other person, which will define the karmic aspects of the relationship. Let's talk about the lunar nodes. What are these fictitious points? Why it is, for me, the most important subject, because the most often people, especially around the age of 40, try to find somebody to consult, an astrologer or a psychic, anybody, but especially astrologer. People have problems by this age because they don't fulfill, they don't follow, they don't live the karmic program, the mission of this actual incarnation, and that's why it's extremely important to define the role of the lunar nodes in the definition of somebody's karmic program. We all agree, at least I hope, that the human being, the possessor of an immortal soul, comes back to Earth each time in a new incarnation with the goal of pursuing his evolution, spiritual evolution. And I call this the school of life, not the school of this or that university or particular marriage, the school of life in general. And therefore, his essence within an isolated incarnation is neither common fact nor a static phenomenon, but a dynamic process. We all agree on that. And what I always repeat to my clients, that we should not compare ourselves and our lives, our destiny, with the life of our friend, partner, brother, sister, mother, with anybody else, because each soul has its own path, its unique mission, its own destiny, and for each soul an exclusive program is intended, as well as the soul passes through individual lessons and tests. Each one has his unique life program. And when we try to compare ourselves with others, sometimes we feel that things are, for example, unfair from the point of view of everyday logics, right? So, for example, I studied more, I have 3 Masters of Arts, but I cannot get the job that my neighbor got, and he has only 1 Master of Arts, for example. Of course, there is sometimes the absence, the lack of equality. We may think that the life is unfair, and sometimes also I feel the same. I won't hide it from you. It happens to me also, but at least I know that I must stop thinking like this immediately. Because we have to accept one very important statement, that we are all equals before God, in the sense that the rules are the same for everyone at the school of life. The soul expands its consciousness through the sphere of earthly experience, often painfully so, overcoming obstacles, making detours, sometimes fighting itself in an impasse until it finds its way to truth, and each one has his own way to follow. Now, we also agree, at least I hope here once again, that we all know that the Supreme Being has never left man to himself, condemned to wander without understanding what to do, not knowing how to live or what direction to take. And we can observe that throughout the history of mankind, moral laws have been received in the form of commandments in all the religions, for example, through enlightened people and spiritual revelations. But we also know that this is not our one and only clue. In our lives, we often meet people, ordinary people in everyday life, who are not gurus or messiah or people who also live their own lives, simple lives sometimes, and those people show us the direction in an obvious manner, or sometimes more in a very more subtle way. And that all this means that we can make this conclusion that the absolute uses various ways to communicate what is expected from us, and what we have to do just to be able to read the signs on our way. Now the question is, how can astrology, as the tool of spiritual development, how can astrology help us in this search? Because from astrology, at least once again for me, I talk for myself, is the objective and accurate tool for the assessment of our level of self-development. Now we come closer to the real subject. So in the birth chart, we analyze the position of the planets in the signs and the house, and the aspect between them. We can define the synthetic and the highlighted sign. I spoke about these two types of signs in one of my videos before. This is astropsychology. It can be changed with the conscious effort of the person. But there is another layer of analysis of someone's profile. And here we don't focus, of course, on the astropsychology, because in the birth chart of each person is encrypted the axis of her destiny, something that we cannot resist or provoke ourselves. This axis determines life lessons and unavoidable situations of the destiny. And there is no need to resist to this. And as soon as we get aware of what is going on, what the absolute, the Supreme Being wants from us, everything becomes perfectly harmonious, and the universe helps us. We will not have to fight against anything. Everything will help us. But what depends on us is to make the first step, to open ourselves. And this axis of the destiny is determined by the position of the lunar nodes from the south node to the north node. Another term for this, the descending node and the ascending node, which is, of course, logical. Now, technically, what are the lunar nodes? The lunar nodes are the 2 points of intersection between the lunar and terrestrial orbits. We imagine the moon turns around the Earth, and imagine at the same time that the Earth turns around the sun. So there will be 2 points of formed, fictitious points formed by the passage of the moon from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere. And the nodes slowly rotate around the Earth clockwise and make a complete revolution in 18 years and a half. And actually the age of 18 years and a half will be a very strategic moment in our lives. I will mention this a little bit later. So this is the age when the lunar nodes in our chart come back to their initial position. And in the horoscope, the lunar nodes are always positioned in opposite signs of the zodiac. For example, if the southern node is in Aries, the northern node will be, of course, in Libra, in the opposite sign. Now, the position of the south node, which another name is the descending node or Ketu, is also called the dragon's tail, which is logical. And its position in a sign and in a house of the birth chart helps in determining the innate characteristics of a person, her abilities, talents and traits, all these things that are manifested by the person easily and effortlessly, naturally and unconsciously, since they were acquired in the previous incarnation. It's very important to understand that it's not about the moon, it's not about the Mercury, it's not about Venus, it's not about, even though the moon sign, which is what we say in esoteric astrology, the moon sign is the sign of our rising sign in the previous incarnation. Yeah, it also reveals the unconscious reactions in our emotional reactions to any situation. It's also our comfort zone, right? And the solar and the reactions upon the solar sign, the sun sign, are the conscious reaction that wake up only after a certain age. It depends on the maturity of the person. So of course the moon is also the moon, the real moon. Is also from the field of subconsciousness and the past life experience. But still, if we compare the moon and the nodes, it's something. There is a big difference between the meanings of these parameters. Astrological facts, yeah, parameters. Now, so I was saying that the south node is the key to the deepest layers of our psychology. It describes the most entrenched patterns of our reactions. And if we rely on these familiar reactions too much, I don't mean that we have to, I don't say that we have to give up to these reactions. If we rely on them too much, we will find ourselves in internal impasse. And it's because the south pole of the chart is the path of least resistance. And I can compare this with the way we react upon our southern lunar node. It's the way that the water flows from the top of the mountain to its foot. There's no effort to make for the water. It falls down easily and naturally. And when energy is not flowing into the desirable pole, from an evolutionary point of view, because we talk about evolution, spiritual evolution, it inevitably accumulates in the opposite pole. So I will mention this later. The goal is to establish a balance without giving up, without going to the extremes and giving up to the past life experience, the patterns in our deep subconsciousness, the patterns of behavior that we accumulated from the past incarnation. Nobody asked us to give up to this direction totally. The position of the north node, the north node is called, in other words, the ascending node, or Rahu, or the dragon's head, of course. And the position of the north node determines the type of behavior and reactions to adopt, preferably in moments of external challenges the behavior that can open new paths and help a person solve her problems. Here we're talking about new actions to undertake, new talents to develop, the goals to which a person should aspire, and the difficult steps on the path towards their achievement. And in other words, the North Node defines the true mission of a person, the way to move forward in her spiritual evolution, and it characterizes our attitude towards the future and towards everything that is unfamiliar to us. And of course, all of us, we feel more comfortable in the comfort zone. So the first unconscious reaction to that is to the suggestion of astrology, for example, to consider the direction of the southern lunar node is the resistance, of course, but it's not complicated to find the balance. So I will talk about it in a moment. So there are strategic moments in our lives, certain ages, certain years. The periods when we turn 18, 19, 37, 38, 56, 57, and 74, 75 years old are strategic. Why are they very important? Because during these years, the lunar node return to their initial position, with they occupy our birth chart. And these are the key moments in one's life, as they force a person to evaluate and to reconsider her life experiences, to find the causes of her success and failures also. And they provide an opportunity for adjusting one's plans for the future based on the past results. Everybody passes by these difficult moments, and these years are critical and sometimes even fatal. Look what happens when we are young. When we turn 18, 19, yes, maybe some of us may be too young for the first test. Even though this is the time when the first effect of the integration of the North Node manifests itself. We can see examples when a very young person begins an independent life, and this is the time, in any case, that marks the painful psychological transition from childhood to adulthood. It depends also, of course, on the position of the node in signs. For example, if the South Node is in Capricorn, it means that the South Node is in Cancer and the North in Capricorn. A young person can suddenly behave in a very unexpected way if she is mature upon other indications in her chart. She may say to her parents at 18 or 19, I leave my home. So she wakes up from this Southern Node in Cancer. She said, I don't want my parents take care of me. I'm independent. I want to be myself on my own, to take responsibility of myself and also on others. And this is the theme of the North Node in Capricorn. So we can see these examples, and don't be surprised if you see such a behavior. So in this case, maybe it would be not bad to check where are the nodes, what is the axis of the nodes in the chart of this person. But the age that marks the test of maturity is the age of 37, 38, and also because it's the second return of the lunar nodes, of course. In addition to other factors, the transits of slow planets, this is the age when people have experienced a lot of problems, and that's why at this age they tend to look for consultations, serious consultations. The age of just before 40, so between 37 and 40, is a time of deep crisis and internal restructuring. This period is characterized mainly by such events as first adulteries, attempts to get married again, by weight gain or weight loss, by the loss of a job or search for a new one. And in any case, one's whole life is undergoing radical changes, objective evolve, change, new goals and new tastes appear, and we meet new partners, and we try to bring major changes in our lives. And it's a sad fact, but we see that it's also an age which can be characterized by statistical peak of deaths, when a lot of young people die, even though they were healthy and at the height of their life and talents. Well, I don't want to point out specific celebrities. Everybody has problems. Everybody undergoes go through cycles of the transits of slow planets, and of course of the cycles of the lunar nodes, the return of the lunar nodes. Why does these things happen? We all have our goals in life. Some of us have more goals than others. Some of us are more ambitious, and all of us, we have different goals. Maybe somebody wants to put accent on a professional life. Another person wants to have a very big family with 10 kids. Somebody else wants to make a world, to make the tour of the world travel. Whether we want it or not, whether we are conscious of that or not, we must often solve problems of cosmic nature rather than personal problems. And that regardless of our abilities and regardless of what we do in life. And also you can see many examples when, for example, an astronaut suddenly becomes a preacher, a doctor becomes a writer, a journalist becomes a psychologist, or the son of a lawyer gets involved in something completely different that his parents wanted for him, the activity. We fight for love and it suddenly seems to be a burden. We receive an education and we fail to apply it in real life. We acquire wealth and we lose it in one day. We improve our health and we die in an accident. And all these unforeseen events are the work of the lunar nodes. But as I mentioned before, the goal here is not to give up to the direction of the south node, the past life experience. It's not about making a categorical choice between the two directions, the south and the north node. It's very important not to go to the extremes, but rather to find a balance, because it is the balance that will make the person evolve. For example, if the balance is upset in the exclusive pursuit of the future, the person rejects the experience of the past and she burns bridges behind her and ultimately loses all stable grounds. And we cannot stay without grounds. And if we lose this ground, we lose the vision of the appropriate direction to follow. So one cannot exist without the other. And if the balance is disturbed in favor of an attachment to the past, which happens most often, don't have illusions on that. Most often people tend to behave upon the past life reactions, of course. So if the balance is disturbed in the favor of an attachment to the past, the person refuses to accept changes. She wants everything in her life to go accordingly to the patterns established in the past, a time during which she was finding her way more easily. This is a totally natural attachment. Nobody is blaming anybody. So that attachment is natural, since these are patterns with which the person feels confident, but of course this blocks the evolution, and at this moment we feel that the person may feel that she starts to go around in circles, and this feeling can appear actually at these specific moments of our life during the age that I just mentioned, during the return of the lunar nodes. So ideally, one would establish a balance between the two nodes, because this balance brings quality of life, in general well-being. This is not an illusion, it's possible. as long as we are aware of these things and we work consciously on defining our karmic program and behaving accordingly, the new direction. So let's make let's formulate once again the conclusion of all that has been said before. A unique model for our way of life and our mission can be described can be found in the position of the lunar nodes in signs and houses of the birth chart, as well in the aspects they form with the real planets and the angles of the chart. Of course, as planets can form angles, aspects, conjunction, square, opposition, sextile, trine, the nodes can also form these aspects. But what is the only aspect that I consider in my analysis, because of course we can go deeper, we can analyze so many parameters, so many layers. The most important are of course the conjunctions of the lunar nodes with the planets, conjunctions. And by the way, if we admit the orb, the margin up to 6 degrees between the planets, especially within slow planets, for example Saturn, Pluto, the margin, the orb that we accept normally, this is what is considered in astrological world. The orb is 3 degrees because these are fictitious points. So more it's tight, like less than 1 degree, it will be very powerful. The meaning of the conjunction, for example, of the sun with the node will be explicit. It will be very intense. It would mean if the sun conjuncts the node that the person was born during the eclipse, of course. In one of the eclipses, depends on if the node is south or north. And now, so what is very important is the conjunction of the nodes with the planets and also with the angles. For example, ascendant, descendant, IC, MC, midheaven. And now the position, we consider the position of the nodes in signs and houses. What is the difference? We apply the same logic as to the position of the planets in signs and houses. The south node will describe how the person is used to behave, to react, the way, like the sign in which is the node, and how the person behaved in the past life and how she should not behave anymore. And the position of the south node in the house describes in which sphere of life, where she behaved in the past life, the way described by the sign. So the position of the sign tells how the person behaved and should not behave anymore, and the position of the node in the house describes where, in which sphere of life. I think it's clear, I imagine it, I hope. It's very simple, very logical. And the position of the north node in sign will show what we have to get closer to, what manner, what pattern of behavior, and in which sphere of life. So, to be simple, the position of the north of Rahu in sign and house will actually define our karmic program, our vision, our mission, the direction, but without forgetting the past life experience, of course. As I mentioned just before, that is not about giving up to the past life experience. Otherwise, we lose the support and the ground. We are not grounded anymore. The goal is to establish the balance. So, before to pass to the analysis of the axis, why I put the accent, I will explain myself why I put the accent on the word axis. While by analyzing the position of the nodes in the signs, what we first realize is what the two opposite signs have in common, because they have things in common. That is, they face the same questions the same questions, but they approach them from opposite positions. Now, the second step is to consider the position of the node, the north node and the south node on the axis, because you can have the south node, for example, in Aries and the north in Libra, and vice versa. The south node in Libra and the north in Aries. So we have to see in which way the axes turn. In other words, what are the best and the most wonderful possible manifestations of the sign in which is the south node? Because this is the strength of the person. And why to give up to the strength? And how will the work with the north node contribute to the harmonization and of the potentials of the south node? The balance, harmonization of the two opposite signs. And I just mentioned before the houses, so the third point, the position of the nodes in houses shows in what areas of life we can expect to encounter and assimilate the lessons offered by specific axis of the node. I hope that this was clear, and I think that the most, which will be more comprehensive maybe and more transparent when we start talking about each axis with a very practical explanation. Yes, another small introductive part that I would like to insert between this big theoretical theory part and the interpretation of the axis is a couple of words on this famous term, the Ouroboros. In English I think it's pronounced, because it's from Greek. Ouroboros is the serpent-like dragon which is coiled on itself and bites his own tail. So you've ever seen these, well, it's sometimes drawn as a snake, but actually it's a dragon. Very long, okay, but so he will be able to bite his own tail, but it's a dragon, sometimes drawn as a snake. Ouroboros is one of the oldest symbols used in religions, magic, alchemy, mythology, and psychology. The Ouroboros is a Gnostic symbol that represents infinity, cyclical time, and continuity in the process of life, the cycles of loss and restoring of integrity, the strength that always exhausts and recovers itself, truth and knowledge, and these meanings in one symbol. Isn't it amazing? These are our lunar nodes. One karmic program for this incarnation, which cannot be independent from the past life karmic program. In Hinduism, the Ouroboros is associated with the wheel of samsara. Those who are passionate by the philosophy and other religions and the actually maybe Vedic astrology, they know what is a wheel of samsara, and which symbolizes the consecutive rebirth. Of course, the doctrine of reincarnation implies that when the intangible origin of an individual is tied to a new body after the decomposition of the previous structure of incarnation, it retains in the mental faculties and the assets corresponding to the results of the previous existence, in accordance with the law of karma. Also, another very common term, a word that is very popular today, but we banalize this word, in my opinion. This law of karma as the image of suffering is not an inherent quality, but is rather a consequence of a free choice of man in favor of evil, resulting in many punishments and repeated incarnations. Therefore, Hindu philosophers argue that it is possible to stop the wheel of samsara through liberation. And what is how to achieve the liberation? And this is the most beautiful sentence. resonated in my mind, for the past couple of years since I started studying and practicing astrology. The dragon sometimes gets the tail out of his mouth and sometimes swallows it further down, as if it was playing with man by reducing his margin of maneuver. A person's life being confined between the rings of the dragon's body. To unchain this ring and to pass through the connecting link between the head and the tail of the dragon. The Rahu and Ketu, the southern and northern node. This is the ultimate purpose of every being. So I wish you the awareness of your axis, of your lunar nodes, of your birth chart, the liberation and the enlightenment and happiness. Now we start analyzing the couples, the axis. All right, now let's talk about the axis. There are 6 axes, of course, because there are 12 signs of the zodiac. And I'm afraid I didn't mention that, the total return of the lunar nodes in its initial position in the chart happens once in 18 years and a half. But the axis of the node change the sign of the zodiac every 18th month. So 1 year and a half. The position of the lunar nodes changes, and don't forget that they turn clockwise. The first axis, Aries, Libra, you can find, by the way, the position of the nodes in any software, astrological software. The axis, Aries, Libra, remember we said that both signs of the axis consider the same problem, but from different points, the opposite points of view. The axis of Aries, Libra is the axis of identity. Put it down. Identity. The goal of this axis is to learn to develop the awareness of one's individuality in the context of relationship with others. Both signs, the Aries as well as the Libra, are looking for opportunities to express themselves as much as possible and to gain understanding of their personality. Not only Aries, both Libra also. But if the Aries expresses himself, asserts himself in the expression of his own individuality, own me, the Libra defines herself as a person when she's building a relationship with others. This we know about Libra. Now, we know that the role of the Aries is to undertake action, to be a pioneer, to create something new. He's a bulldozer, and his task is to break down walls and to erase all boundaries in order to pursue evolution. As a leader, he does not appreciate to be limited by others, and because he focuses on self-expression, he is often unaware of the presence of other people and of the impact of his actions that can hurt maybe others, in a way the impact that his actions can have on them, on other people. I just want to mention one thing, that when people hear the description of the nodes in signs, especially if they have a personal planet in this sign, for example, Sun sign Aries or Moon or Mercury, personal planets like from Sun to Mars, or the rising Aries, they say, oh yeah, I recognize myself, but it's not about astropsychology. And the person has 3 planets in Aries. When I read the description of the node in Aries, the person for sure will recognize the description of the sign of Aries. But we talk about unconscious patterns of behavior brought from the past life, and the person will have these deeply hidden in subconsciousness, these patterns of behavior, not because she has 3 planets in 3 personal planets in the sign of Aries, but because she may have, for example, she has the node in Aries. But if she has also the planets in Aries, of course the the presence of the sign of Aries will be very evident in all her everyday behavior. But in this case, it's easy for her to understand what I'm trying to explain to her. But if the person has not a single planet in the sign in which she has the southern node, she may say in the beginning, "Oh I don't know. I'm not sure if I recognize myself in your description, because I don't." But once again, these are unconscious tendencies, and this is the problem. This is the difficulty: how to define them, how to, place them on the surface, how to make the person face this issue, because it's an issue if the analysis of the south node in the sign. So, for example, me, I don't have planets in Aries, but I have the south node in Aries. I was a Caribbean pirate in the past life, this is for sure. Because what I will mention in the next video of astrocartography, this is on location astrology, the projection of the lines of the planets on the globe, but also of the nodes. We can see where we lived in the past life and which territory. So I know that I was living in the tropical climates, that's why there's a big, you are far from the subject, sorry. But at least I'm spontaneous. So, the position of the southern node in Aries describes, of course, the features, the traits of Aries, but is not as psychological characteristics, but as a deeply hidden patterns of behavior that are not evident for the person because they are in the subconsciousness. And now let's compare with Libra. The vision of Libra of this axis of identity. This is natural for Libra, comparing to Aries, to take the existence of other people into consideration, something that Aries is seldom able to do. And the Libra strives to maintain harmony and balance through all aspects of personal relationship: charming, diplomatic, artistic, objective, and impartial. Libra is always ready to cooperate. We know that from the description of Libra. The biggest problem of Libra is a tendency to be unable to take responsibility for her actions and to wish to preserve peace and at any cost sacrificing personal boundaries and needs for the sake of avoiding conflict. Now, let's formulate the resume, the conclusion that the axis Aries Libra teaches us to develop our own identity, to set up the right personal boundaries while maintaining healthy relationship with others. Our goal is to understand to what extent we should be selfish and think about our own needs and desires, and when we should rather reach compromise with others. Isn't it beautiful? Now, so we just described the vision of the same problem, the axis of identity, by the two opposite signs, Aries and Libra. Now, what happens if we have the two possibilities of the position of the node? Southern in Aries, northern in Libra, southern in Libra, northern in Aries. So what happens for each pair? If you have the south node in Aries and the north node in Libra, in this position of the nodes, expressing one's individuality comes naturally. It's easy for the person to show determination, leadership, and passion for life. The trap. What is the trap here? Deafness to the needs and boundaries of others, and that's why the goal will be to move towards the north node in Libra and learn how to establish harmonious relationship with others, something which will actually strengthen the person's sense of individuality. We don't lose, we gain in both senses. The person will also need, the person actually will need to understand here that, I know this from experience, that someone who has the south node in Aries is very afraid to lose her independence. She thinks that if she will be in a partnership, in the couple, professional or personal, she will lose her freedom and she will have to do everything for the partner. But what happens actually is that if we open ourselves to this new direction, to the North Node in Libra, for those who have this axis in their chart, the universe will help us. We will not have to fight against anything or anybody, against or with anything and anybody. And actually, we will be given the partner who will tell us, do what you want. You have hobby, enjoy them. You have friends, go out with them. I don't make from our relationship a prison. So in this case, the person will gain the both. She will have the partnership, the relationship that she was so afraid of, but everybody needs to be in a relationship, said to be alone, right? But at the same time, the person will keep her independence because the partner will allow her to do the things on her own. So you will not sacrifice your freedom. But most people, of course, since we said that most people live their lifestyle determined by the position of the South Node, even though the person has not a single planet in this sign. Of course, people resist. They're afraid to lose this, to be ejected from this comfort zone. But what happens that if the person resists to go to the south direction of the North Node, she will be ejected from this comfort zone by the circumstances. And these situations can be very violent and even dramatic. So why not to relax and to follow this dream? to let be taken by the flow. Now, this was the remark from personal experience, which is my own case. Yeah. Whew. The second the possibility, the South Node in Libra and North Node in Aries. What happens here? The South Node in Libra brings the gift of balance, harmony, beauty, as well as an understanding of the value of the finest moments in a relationship. This is the fourth, the strength of the person who has the South Node in Libra. But the trap here is the tendency to maintain harmony at any cost, to repress any need of our own that could harm a relationship. So that's why the goal for the person with this position of the nodes is, by working on the North Node in Aries, to explore and to express our individuality while remaining mindful of the dynamic at play in interpersonal relationship, thus maintaining a healthy balance. In this case, the person will be afraid to stay alone. That's why this person will desperately look for the partner, for any type of partnership, because she will not imagine her life without the second element on the balance. And if the person with the South Node in Libra resists to learn how to be independent, how to rely on herself, and how to sometimes to go through some moments of maybe loneliness, solitude, but it will be rather self-sufficiency. If she resists to this lesson of life, she will not meet the partner. She will be forced to stay alone because she doesn't know how to say no to the partner, because she wants to preserve the partnership at any cost. So, in this case, with this combination of the nodes, the goal, the trap, the goal are the contraries to the first axis, Aries, Libra. So this principle will be applied to all the analysis of all other axes. So this was axis Libra, Aries, the axis of identity. Now, the second axis is Taurus, Scorpio, and this axis associated with the universal cycle of birth and death, of growth and destruction. The objective of this axis is to learn to trust the natural cycles of life, to open ourselves to change when it's needed. We said that the both signs look at the same issues from the opposite points of view, and in this case, the both signs care about establishing and preserving their real value. The Taurus does it on the material and physical levels and represents the constructive side of the axis. The Scorpio is trying to cultivate the emotional and spiritual level by destroying the physical boundaries, even if he needs them as any other sign in general. And as Taurus needs it. He therefore represents the destructive side of Axis. Constructive, destructive. The Taurus vision of the subject of the issue. The Taurus strengthens his sense of identity through the physical, using the 5 senses and all forms of interactions with the material plane. But if Taurus focuses too much on the material and the pragmatic, things which were first helping him to define his personal space could easily turn into obstacles and boundaries to his evolution. He gets too attached to what he possesses. Even it can be not only material values like money or real estate, it can be also a relationship that is already worn out and doesn't exist anymore, but he believes that he can make it last longer. Now, the goal of the Scorpio is to destroy the illusions and concepts that were used in the formation of his individual personality, which is why he seeks to strengthen his emotional and spiritual value through deep, transformative connections with others. But similar to the case of Taurus, Scorpio can also lose his way, obsessed by perpetual destruction and transformation. So Scorpio, sometimes South Node in Scorpio, it was too early, the South Node. The Node in Scorpio will describe the person as somebody who doesn't appreciate what she has, and she always looks for something better. That's why she sometimes takes risks in everything she does. So by this, showing the destructive side, the destructive side of the axis Taurus Scorpio. So the conclusion, the genuine growth is cyclical, and in order to be able to pursue it, a certain part of us must die. We all understand that. And the axis Taurus Scorpio shows us how to complete this cycle by recognition. When we recognize when is the favorable period for taking root and prioritizing growth, and when we recognize when is the time for harvest, to gather the harvest, when the harvest has come, when is the time to pick up the fruits of our own actions. So constructive, destructive sides, Taurus, Scorpio. Okay, now what about the 2 options? The first option, the South Node in Taurus, the North Node in Scorpio. Well, the gift of the South Node in Taurus is the ability to lay strong foundations, to build on them slowly and steadily, keeping stability in mind. Why to give up to this? No reason to give up to this strength. The purpose of this process is to create a holistic awareness of our own identity. But what is the trap for the South Node in Taurus? Is that the person tends to attach herself too tightly to the illusory order and is extremely resistant to any change, even is scared of it. This is because she feels such a strong need for clear boundaries. People with the South Node in Taurus, even if their solar sign, sun sign, has nothing to do with the earth element and with the Taurus sign, if they have South Node in Taurus, they will be extremely resistant to any change. Now, in which sphere of life will be shown by the position of the South Node in Taurus in the house. Okay? So the goal in this case is to learn not to be afraid of radical change and deep transformation, to allow some parts of ourselves to die in order to make room for opportunity to grow. Because if we resist, if the person resists to the change, she will lose everything. Fire set up to her house or accident, she will, or the partner, or I mean, any, for example, if she resists, if the South Node is in Taurus in the 7th house, she resists to accept changes in her partnership, in her marriage, for example. If it's already over, okay, if it's worn out, the partner will leave in one day. The person will have to accept the change, whether she wants it or not. That's why, once again, relax and follow the stream. What happens with the second option? The South Node in Scorpio, the North Node in Taurus. The predisposition for transformation, for spirituality, for healing, as well as the knowledge of the process of death, these are the gifts, the strong side, the gifts of the South Node in Scorpio. What is the trap for this node in Scorpio? The person is so captivated by change that she provokes it herself, sometimes when not needed or even harmful. As I said before, she is never satisfied with what she has. And she looks for new, exciting opportunities, adrenaline, and dangerous experience. She walks on the edge. So the goal here for the South Node in Scorpio, to move on in the direction of the North Node in Taurus, that is to learn how to take roots, how to plant seeds, how to start new constructions, all the while keeping a detached attitude towards the present state of things, like Scorpio does, but at the same time to appreciate what she has and not to doubt all the time, oh my God, maybe I could have something better than what I have. Don't play with fire, otherwise. Or, you know, I remember an example that the person has the South Node in Scorpio in the 8th house and this North Node in Taurus in the 2nd house. Well, the coincidence that it was the nodes were in the signs and in the houses of the signs, okay? She won a lottery, but she spent it. She spent it in a very short period of time. She won a very big amount of money, and her goal was what? To learn how to keep what she has. And she said, no, I will invest. I will, I don't know, play on the market. I don't remember the word. You know, when you put money and you wait for the commission, the interest. She lost everything. The man lost everything. And he went against against the direction of his karmic program. So it was a real example of real life. Somebody will say, oh my God, I wish I could win lottery. Yeah, if with this position of the nodes you will win, but the paradoxical thing that you risk to spend it in 3 days, this money, because you are not able, and this is what you have to learn to be able to appreciate what you have and to keep it, not to spend. Not to risk, not to play with the fire, not to walk on the edge. The next axis, Gemini, Sagittarius. The Gemini-Sagittarius axis is the axis of the mental, right? And its goal is to learn the balance between the lower and the higher mind. The Gemini explores the world, collects information, establishes contacts, while the Sagittarius tends to look for a unique concept, the supreme truth. We know that. Philosopher. What is the role of Gemini? Is to study his environment, to reunite what is separated. They have a knack for all types of languages and tools for communication, and Gemini have incredible curiosity about everything. We know that. They want to be everywhere and to know everything. The Gemini explores both sides of any situation, comparing the opposite elements, and it reflects the duality particular to this sign. But the Gemini often lacks the concentration and attention necessary to put things in perspectives and see the big picture. And the Sagittarius, for his part, is only concerned with the big picture, and concentrating his energy in one point, he is entirely devoted to a quest for the absolute truth in the theoretical, philosophical, spiritual, and theological even fields. What Sagittarius wants is to bring an end to duality by reuniting opposites. He risks unintentionally hurting the feelings of other people who may not have personal convictions and views as he has. So they are different, that the ideas of Sagittarius about the truth. And Sagittarius risks to become obsessed with finding the universal truth, convinced that the goal always justifies the means. In other words, Sagittarius always play the role of guru, teaching others, even though all of us, and also Sagittarius, has many, there are so many things that he can learn. And he thinks that Gemini plays the role of a student, and he has to listen to him, to Sagittarius. So the weak side of Gemini is not be able to focus on something one big and deep, and he pays too much attention to too many things at the same time, not focused enough. So, as a conclusion, the Gemini-Sagittarius axis teaches us how to maintain our curiosity and flexibility, guided by a higher consciousness and philosophy. This axis teaches us the importance of communicating with ourselves and others without forgetting the quest for universal truth. Also beautiful. Now the two options. The South Node in Sagittarius, South Node in Gemini, the North in Sagittarius. The gift of the South Node in Gemini is a thirst for knowledge of the world, a sharp mind, open to all sorts of new ideas, and enthusiasm for a variety of new concepts. Where is the trap here? The trap is the lack of focus and a certain difficulty in compiling information, gathering information, which can lead the person to a type of behavior, but which can be said she tries everything but cannot complete anything. People with the South Node in Gemini, they don't know what they want, to be simple. They try so many things, once again, depends on the house, and they don't have patience. They live because they feel bored and they jump from one thing to another. So the goal here for the South Node in Gemini is to learn how to gather information and to organize it, to look for which reunites dualities. So if he cooperates with Sagittarius, the Gemini will be able to draw from a well of information and understanding of the working of the universe, as well as an understanding of our place in it on a larger scale. So he will not be able anyway to get rid of his curiosity about the small details, but he has to work on this vision of the bigger picture, like the Sagittarius does. So, I would say that in this case of this axis, this option of the axis, South Node in Gemini, North in Sagittarius, the person has to choose one single direction and to focus on the deep study of this subject, and to be devoted, to work on his capacity to be patient and focused on one specific field or subject. Once again, depends on the node on the house of the North Node. So the person should not stay in because in this case the person can risk to stay as an eternal student. She starts studying so many things and never ends it up. So she has to play the role not of a student but of the guru, the teacher, to become a teacher instead of the person was the student in the past life. This is over. It's easy for her to study new things. It's easy to her to be student, but she has to become a teacher in this incarnation. Now what about the second option? The South Node in Sagittarius, the North Node in Gemini. In this case, the person thinks that she knows everything. The gift of the South Node in Sagittarius is the understanding of the relationship between the universe and society, a very strong system of beliefs and a philosophy of life that helps her to express her personality. These are travelers, philosophers. They live for themselves. They think that they know everything. So in this case, the trap for the person will be if she clings too strongly to her beliefs and does not accept other people's opinions. Okay? She risks developing the attitude, I'm more pious than you, I know everything. And the tendency could be described as, oh, she talks, but doesn't do anything. So it's only about talking, philosophy, like general abstract concepts, but where is the practical application of your knowledge? Which is the strength of Gemini, okay? So the goal for this person with the South Node in Sagittarius is to learn to share general information in the way the Gemini does it so well, and to apply the strong beliefs of the Sagittarius to everyday life and to her simple everyday environment. She will then discover that the absolute truth has many different manifestations. Now let's continue with the next axis, Cancer Capricorn. The Cancer Capricorn axis is the axis of responsibility. And its goal is to learn to take care of ourselves while taking care of others, something which can take the form or duties towards family, Cancer, and society, Capricorn. The Cancer wants to be reassured that he will receive care and safety while satisfying his emotional needs in the field of his personal and familial responsibilities. And Capricorn also looks for security and support, but through social order and the rules of the law, thus focusing on fulfilling his professional duties. Both signs are in search of balance between egoism and selflessness. Yeah, I don't know why, but I met this combination of the nodes more often than others. Maybe it was just because they were my clients born during this period of time. The Cancer is looking for emotional and spiritual connection through care of others. And this is how he satisfies his personal psychological needs, but if he becomes too absorbed in caring for others, he can become extremely dependent and in the end feel quite unhappy because some people don't respond to his requests. The Cancer is looking for emotional and spiritual connections through care for others, and this is how he satisfies his personal psychological needs. But if he becomes too absorbed in caring for others, he can become extremely dependent and in the end feel quite unhappy. So he can turn to the internal protector. For example, if he takes care too much of others, giving everything but afraid of receiving anything in return. So he gives only in one way and doesn't accept the care of others about him. And while the Capricorn is more concerned about the needs of society and acts on the material and concrete levels, motivated by the physical material order, he is convinced that he will satisfy his own material needs if he assumes responsibility towards the protection of social order, career, professional side, yeah. But in cases when the Capricorn ends up thinking about personal ambition more than duty, he will tend to use power of his own personal ends. People with the South Node in Cancer, they are too dependent on the emotional ties with all people that surround them. And the only thing that they want to do is to take care of others and to feel dependent on their own care about others. Whereas they have to become more tough and to push their career, for example. If we so the final formulation of the axis is that the Cancer Capricorn axis teaches us how to find balance between our family duties and our social responsibilities. It also teaches us to understand that when we cannot help ourselves, we cannot expect help from others. And by helping others, we also show them how to take responsibility for their own lives. So this is the vision of the axis of responsibility by the two opposite signs, Cancer and Capricorn. Now let's look at the two options. The South Node in Cancer, the North Node in Capricorn. The gift of the South Node in Cancer is compassion, warmth, sympathy, ability to care about others and to communicate with others. But where is the trap? Yeah, and I have an example of somebody very close to me who doesn't want to listen to me. When I went to try to talk to him about his axis of the nodes. The trap for this person is that she can fall into a pattern of excessive dependence on others on the emotional level, always demanding support and attention also from others. But first of all, he wants to take care of others. Or this person can go to other extreme, taking the role of the eternal benefactor, helping and taking care of everyone even when she's not asked to do so. So the goal here for the person is to learn self-reliance and personal responsibility in the career and the society, but not in emotional ties and relationships, while maintaining openness and accessibility on the emotional level. Nobody tells the person to become cruel or tough or, the word escaped me. But she has to tend to act like Capricorn rather. So working in the North Node in Capricorn, we learn to think about our own needs, Capricorn, and to be responsible for our lives, and as a result becoming less dependent on the opinion of energy of others. And the person that I mentioned before, just a couple of seconds ago, his wife was reproaching him that he was not ambitious enough because he's still working from home. He doesn't need to go to the office, but the wife said, I want more money. I want you to seem more ambitious. Why you stay at home at the end of the week in front of the TV at the age of 40, playing video games and wake up, shake you up. There is another position that opens in our company because they work together. Why don't you apply for this position? He said, I don't care. I have my wife, my kids, my TV, my games, video games. I'm happy. What happened? She left him because she was reproaching him not to be ambitious enough. And by the way, he had the South Node in Cancer in the 4th house. It was even intensified, the theme of Cancer also by the house. Imagine the North Node in Capricorn in the 10th house. He has to, from his current program, he has to become the star in his field. To become the manager of the team or even of a president of a company, he has to show the responsibility on others in his profession, the career, and social, to look for social elevation. He resists, and his solar sign is Taurus, and rising Taurus, and he's very unhappy because he doesn't want to understand what the life wants from him. He blames the wife that doesn't appreciate him the way he is. Very unhappy, very sad to see this picture, but well, if he understood what his karmic program wanted from him, he would be successful in career and he would also have his wife. The South Node in Capricorn, the North in Cancer. The South Node in Capricorn provides one with a strong sense of self-sufficiency, of personal responsibility, of pragmatism, as well as an ability to manifest desires and ideas, his own. Here the trap is, a person is convinced that to depend on the help of others and on emotional ties especially, in general, is a sign of weakness. The person immerses herself into her work, workaholics, puts her career in front of her personal needs and ends up consuming a lot of time and energy while working, leaving no time and energy for her personal life. So here the goal is, when working on the North Node in Cancer, the person needs to learn to let go, to tear down some walls, to be open, to opening her heart to emotional connections, also letting others take care of us. And this is also an example when the person is a workaholic. She may have a family, for example, but she gives it can be also a woman, she gives the task of taking care of her kids to a nanny, right? And she works from morning till night, a workaholic. And what can happen in this case is that she may live difficult moments in her career, because the situation will force her to stay, not to stay at home, to be a housewife. Once again, here it's about to find balance, but I'm sure you will recognize yourself while listening to your description of the axis of your nodes in your birth chart. The next one, Leo Aquarius. The Leo Aquarius axis is the axis of group dynamics, and its goal is to learn to find a balance between aiming for an outstanding position in a team, Leo, and cultivating equality between all of its members. The Leo and the Aquarius are both able to perceive and express unconditional love, because Leo loves generously, Aquarius loves everybody. But Leo leaves it on the level of the heart in a personalized manner, while the Aquarius experience it on a more abstract and intellectual level, showing compassion for humanity as a whole. The lesson of the Leo Aquarius axis to achieve unconditional love, something which is possible through a balance between the heart and the mind. Okay? Now, the Leo is open and generous. He wants to share his unique personality with others and to get the place that he deserves in the group, that he thinks that he deserves. He's really generous on himself, no doubt. He reveals his heart, and because of that, he expects to receive love and recognition in return. But the Leo can become dependent on this and the attention of other members of the team. His desire to shine and give warmth to people then transforms into a need to constantly be under the spotlights. And in these situations that we can see the generosity of Leo becomes extremely interested. The energy of Aquarius is of a particular social orientation, and he identifies himself with the team as if it was a unified whole. He puts the needs of the team above his own needs and strives to make sure that the structure of and the laws of the society can ensure a high level of freedom to its members, so everybody is equal. The Aquarius sincerely believes that all people are created equal and deserve the life that they want to make for themselves, but he often forgets that every person is different. Therefore, in spite of his immense love for humanity, the Aquarius may have difficulties in his interaction with people because he may be a little bit cold. So, friendly attitude with everybody, but not personal enough. So, when working with the Leo Aquarius axis, we learn to show unconditional love through the balance of two approaches. Once again, the two extreme approaches. The interaction with people on the individual level and as unified team and teams, groups. Individual Leo and teams. Any individual approach should be balanced by a universal form of love and the recognition of an equal status for everybody. Now, the two options. The South Node in Leo, North in Aquarius. The gift of the South Node in Leo is the ability to share with others, to open one's heart, to manifest love. This is for sure. Here we can find huge stocks of creative authenticity, of courage, of self-confidence. But the trap here, the South Node in Leo, is that an excessive dependence on the recognition of his own uniqueness and the need for the love from others, because himself he is capable for love and generosity. So the Leo needs to be, in this case, the center of attention, and it may become unhealthy, which will lead to the selfish behavior, the pride, and the childishness. So what we should do here? What is the goal? What we have to work on in this case? Using the energy of the Aquarius, we have to shift part of, the person have to shift part of his focus from his own person towards group dynamics, thus realizing that becoming the member of a team does not mean a loss of individuality. So each individual contributes in his own way to the achievement of a common objective. So the Leo in this case, the person with the Sun and the Leo, shouldn't be afraid that the crown falls from his head. He's not the only one boss, and other people also can have talents, and he must learn to recognize the talents of others. Okay, this is for the South Node in Leo. Now, South Node in Aquarius, the North in Leo. The South Node in Aquarius brings the gift of personal freedom and tolerance towards others, as well as a dedication to humanity. The Aquarius is always ready to participate in changing and improving the world for everybody benefit, having an ability to identify the main needs of a society. But this is too general, too abstract, and too distant, because the trap here is that the person allows her head, not the heart, the head to control her heart, and gets her attention absorbed exclusively by the abstractions and idealism. So the revolutionary personage. Yeah, we shall overcome. The better future waits for us. Everybody is equal. There are no difference of classes in the society. So very loving attitude, but too even cold in the sense of not personal. And that's why the goal here for the person with the South Node in Aquarius and North Node in Leo is to learn from Leo how to act according to the heart, to understand that every member of a team is unique and deserves recognition, to keep in mind that they are at the same time equals. Once again, the balance. All right, and the very last axis, Virgo Pisces. Virgo Pisces axis is the axis of the interaction between spirit and matter, the material. Its goal is to reach harmony between separation and fusion. Both signs look for healing and completion, but the Virgo works on the physical level, of course, while the Pisces operates on the spiritual level. And a person comes into the world, any person comes into the world again and again in a continuous quest for balance between the physical world and true spirituality. We know that if we satisfy only our physical needs, we always feel that something is missing, right? It's not enough to have nice conditions of, nice apartment and good food and to stay warm and, It's not only about that. There's always something missing from a spiritual point of view. At the same time, when we don't have physical comfort, if you are very spiritual, but we don't try to satisfy our physical needs, always it is also a disbalance. So here the goal is to find this balance between the two sides of our life. And therefore, our task is to discover how to empower matter with spirit, and how to connect spirit with matter. the material. Now, the Virgo improves the universe in its physical aspects through knowledge, analysis, and the ability to adapt. In her endless quest for perfection, she relies on her analytical skills and her sense for details in order to satisfy her desire to serve the greater good, the perfection, the improvement. But if Virgo does not keep in mind that perfection is not only in the result but also in the process, if she falls into excessive criticism towards herself and others, she will then lose her overall perspective, something that will be of great hindrance to the same process of improvement. Pisces are searching for perfection and the healing of the spirit, willing to merge with the cosmic consciousness and creation as a whole. They are in search for the high spiritual truth. They push back boundaries and negative emotions and pain. However, Pisces tend to be too engrossed in the spiritual realm and to neglect the physical world. For this reason, it's sometimes difficult for them to act with full responsibility. Pisces can easily become victims of martyrs when they become attached to sufferings, thinking of it as a mean for spiritual evolution. People with the South Node in Pisces, they dream, they make plans, but they can be very intelligent, and they can know what they want, but their vision of their future, of their goals, it can be too abstract, and they don't know how to apply what to do in a very concrete, practical way in order to make their plans come true in the real life. So they are too. They need somebody to push them to find the exact formula that the Virgo will have. So if we look at the option South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces, we will see that the gift of the South Node in Virgo is a rigorous analytical mind, the ability to separate and evaluate. It is the understanding of the material world. It is the skill which is necessary for perfectioning the world for the benefit of everyone. Virgos, South Node in Virgo, they know how to work. They know what to do. Okay, this day I do this, tomorrow I do that, in 1 month I do that, in 2 weeks, in 2 months or in 6 months I have already the plan A, B, C. They're very well organized. They know how to act, but they don't have the long-term vision, abstract vision, the imagination. So the trap here for this person with the South Node in Virgo is the tendency to focus only on the physical and to indulge in excessive criticism as well as in an excessively logical and deductive approach to the world. When the person's tendency to help others is aimed towards a validation of her own knowledge and skills, she eventually will be left with a feeling of emptiness as a result. So here the goal is to, while doing something, while achieving the goal, not to focus on the exact result of this work, but to be more spontaneous. In other words, the goal is to, through the node in Pisces, learn to see the world not only in the variety of its aspects, but as an interconnected whole, to be open to a higher spiritual connection, to compassion, to all forgiveness, and to a less critical approach. Behind any goal on the physical level, there must be the highest spiritual goal. And in the case of the second option, when the person has the South Node in Pisces and the North Node in Virgo, we can say that the gift of the South Node in Pisces is a compassion, spirituality, the ability to heal and transform pain, and to understand the ways in which we are all connected to each other. But here also the person will be trapped by the following behavior when she tries to use spirituality to avoid necessary lessons and the responsibilities that accompany our life in the physical body. This comes from the desire to take on the role of a victim and to isolate oneself in mysticism and spiritualism. People with the South Node in Pisces can be sometimes lazy. They just dream, they just talk, but they don't do what they say that they want to do. There is no practical approach to the life, to the situations. Okay, so the goal here is to face the physical world, not to be afraid to face the physical world and everyday problems. To improve it through compassion, healing, spirituality, all of which are methods which can become real practical means. So nobody tells to give up to the spirituality, but this spirituality has to find the real practical means, expressions. In this case, the North Node in Virgo can help the person with the South Node in Pisces. I will give you the example of the previous option, the South Node in Virgo and the North in Pisces. I had a client who had this position of the nodes, and she had a beauty salon in Montreal, and she was working from morning till night and like non-stop, like parents were telling her, stop, take some break, go to the the very nice forests in Quebec, at least for summer, for 1 month, forget about everything, meditate. There were some courses of meditation and healing by some guru that came from US. And she said, no, I need, my clients wait for me for a manicure. What happened once that there was a fire in the building and this local that she was renting, it took fire and she lost everything. And it was such a big stress for her. She of course, she had the insurance, so there was a compensation, material financial compensation, but it was such a big stress for her that she had nothing to do, there was nothing else left to do that to close, of course, local, to wait until the repairs, they set order to this building, to this local, the reparation. And she left for 1 month to the forest near her parents. They lived also in the forest, so she just was forced by the situation to quit, to leave this hard work in the beauty salon from morning till night. And she said, yes, in 1 month I realized so many things because I spent 1 month in the forest meditating, and but she was consciously resisting to this because people were telling her, stop, otherwise you will have burned out. The consequence was even tragic because it was a big stress for her. So she told me, I remember, why I didn't heard about that from you or from somebody else before. I really hope that this information was useful, and thank you very much for your attention. I'm planning to make new videos on the Lilith Black Moon and Selena White Moon and the location astrology, and please stay tuned, and I wish to all of you a lot of happiness, a lot of peace of mind, and the most important is to be happy, and we can be happy only if we follow the instructions. And if we follow the instructions and the guidance, we will be helped during each path of on our way and towards our karmic program, our mission, this incarnation. And I don't want to dramatize. I have a tendency to dramatize a little bit because I have Moon in Leo. I'm a drama queen, but I like, I like colors, I like expression. And even though my astrological videos are serious, I mean, when I'm very creative and demonstrative, right? So I don't want to dramatize. This subject is very subtle, the Lunar Nodes. So there are many things to think about. So listen to the description of your nodes, think of that. I can analyze the position of your nodes in signs and the houses and their conjunction with the planets and the angular houses in the context of the service karmic horoscope, because this is only one layer, the position of the nodes in signs. So if you have any questions and suggestions and any comments, you're welcome, and thank you very much once again for your attention, and talk to you very soon.